Power. That's why you clicked on this video. The answer to why you should watch Chainsaw Man is power. But other than this anime's best girl, fight me Machina fans, and the subject of next year's most popular Comic-Con cosplay, there are a ton of reasons to check out the biggest premiere this season, and there are some on this list, especially the last one, that will wanna make you go and watch it right now. But watch this video first. For the last couple of weeks, everyone's been sharing still frames from the trailer and has been foaming from the mouth out of pure anticipation for this. And now it's finally here. So what exactly is all this? Well, Chainsaw Man is adapted from a manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto, also known for some more niche but nonetheless fantastic stories like Fire Punch, Look Back, and Goodbye 80. And in theory, it's your typical shonen anime, but really only in theory. Here's the premise of the story. Denji is a teenage boy rendered homeless after inheriting his father's crushing Yakuza debts. And he lives in a world that's populated by what the show calls devils, creatures created from human fears whose strength and power depend on, well, pretty much how much people piss their pants because of these fears. And so after being put to rest by one of these devils, Denji's life is ultimately saved by the mandatory cute mascot Pochita, a little chainsaw doggo. So how does that work, Manu, you ask? Well, Pochita becomes Denji's heart, thus granting him the power to fuse with the chainsaw devil inside, and as a result, becoming Chainsaw Man. By far, and this is just my personal opinion, which is correct, the most badass looking anime protagonist I have ever seen. So by pulling the cord that now emerges from his chest, Denji can now activate his Chainsaw Man transformation. Chainsaws come out of his arms. Chainsaws come out of his legs. A chainsaw comes out of his freaking face. I'm a bit of a sick fuck for really enjoying this, ain't I? But hey, so are you, so are kids. And so with this newfound power, Denji becomes a public safety devil hunter. What is that, you ask? Well, it basically means that he's joining a team of good people that keep the world safe from the threat of these devils. Now, at first glance, you might say that this is a premise that's not too far distant from the likes of Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, or Jujutsu Kaisen, where irresponsible adults who are too lazy or incompetent to actually take care of things themselves find unwitting kids gaining supernatural powers that they use to protect humanity from evil entities. But whereas these shows still fit the basic mold of their Shonen Jump peers, even while having darker edges than even more mainstream shows like Naruto or One Piece, Chainsaw Man assuredly does not. Because in reality, Chainsaw Man is anything but a typical shonen. Let me tell you why. The biggest selling point of Chainsaw Man as a story is the super unique tone and feel that it has. One example coming right up. The chainsaws in questions, for instance, are not the lumberjack variety to cut down trees, but have a more of a Texas Massacre vibe going for them. In case I'm not bringing this across here, that's code for totally fucked up. This series is violent. This series is bloody. This series is gory. It's dark and twisted and messed up, and I love it. Now, if that sort of thing appeals to you, then Chainsaw Man might just be the show for you. Fujimoto's artwork has a way of bringing the intense action of the series completely to life, even on a static black and white image. I mean, really, just look at some of his panels. You can basically see the violent intensity of saws ripping through flesh and bone. And now you don't have to squeeze your eyes to imagine, but can actually sit on your couch, eat your popcorn, and watch those epic bloody sequences and panels come to life in color and motion, where you can listen to the roar of the chainsaws and the gushing fountains of blood. You sick fuck. Is this the most violent manga ever? Of course not. Berserk exists. But if you're into the dark, the gritty, and the gruesome, then this is something new for your repertoire. It's certainly not the only show with a dark and violent aesthetic, but to read something like Chainsaw Man in the pages of Shonen Jump alongside One Piece and My Hero Academia can come as quite a shock to some people. And now, of course, with Wonder production studio MAPPA at the helm of this adaptation, fans have plenty to be excited excited about. The studio really has already proved itself capable of some great action animation with the final season of Attack on Titan and the brilliantly rendered Jujutsu Kaisen series. And in addition to the action, MAPPA has experience in more tender, emotional storytelling, being the studio that brought us, for example, Yuri on Ice. And speaking of that tender and emotional storytelling, I've tricked you all. The biggest selling point of this manga isn't the gritty violence at all, because one of the most powerful assets that Chainsaw Man really has is its world building. I mean, it starts with that simple enough premise, but what seems standard and procedural at first becomes a web of political intrigue, conflicting character motivations, and deepening mysteries. Where have I heard that one before? Once again, it starts off similar to a show such as Bleach or Yu Yu Hakusho. In the former, Kurosaki Ichigo finds newfound powers as a Shinigami and now uses them to dispatch of hollows. In Yu Yu Hakusho, Yasuke Urameshi finds himself as a spirit detective hunting rogue demons. However, both of these shows quickly abandon their early premises in favor of a more battle-heavy format, let's say. Bleach trades it for the tried and true formula of fighting a new set of cool guys each new arc, and Yu Yu Hakusho features perhaps the greatest tournament arc of all time. And while both of these series are legendary among shonen anime for a very good reason, Chainsaw Man opts for a completely different and quite refreshing new approach to this. Doesn't skimp on the violence, obviously. This is the most blood you're going to see this season, promised. However, beneath that tide of bombastic action is an undercurrent of genuine philosophical exploration on a level you don't see in that many series, honestly. Chainsaw Man takes place in a world of devils, and while these devils fill a definite monster of the week role, they're also so much more than that. These monsters are fear manifested. Their strength correlates to how much cumulative fear the human population has of the concept which they represent. Therefore, if you want a good example of this, things like a shark devil or the spider devil are fairly strong creatures because many people are scared of these things. And in this way, the general premise is quite similar to Jujutsu Kaisen, where curses are born of fear and negative energies of humans. However, and this is where things get interesting, Chainsaw Man also tends to imbue their devils with a greater level of social commentary than Jujutsu Kaisen's cursed spirits. Now, if you watched this channel before, this is not a dig at Jujutsu Kaisen. I still love you, Jogo. You're the best personified volcano around. But really, sharks and spiders are just the tip of the iceberg. Chainsaw Man's devils explore much deeper existential fears, and that's where things get interesting and really crazy. It's no mistake that a central antagonist of Chainsaw Man is the Gun Devil, an unspeakable monster born out of humanity's collective fear of gun violence. It's no surprise that this series has resonated strongly with an American audience so far. I mean, after all, it's a country plagued by gun violence at rates higher than any other developed nation. The Gun Devil and the looming threat it represents is all too real in our world as well. Chainsaw Man uses its devil premise not only to set up awesome gruesome action, but to make real political and philosophical statements. And Fujimoto really takes his characters to hell and back, literally, to explore the depth of human fear. Now, this is obviously a no spoiler zone, but just you wait for the Darkness Devil to be animated. Let's just say I'm looking forward to seeing one of the wildest panels in all of manga in motion. And I know that sounds a little bit over the top, but if you know, you know. When Chainsaw Man tackles fears fundamental to the human experience, things get absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I mean, lots of the devil's abilities come from conventional weaponry, like chainsaws, but some devils have some insane powers on display. But wait a minute, this is still like the beginning of the story. Like, you see how much longer is left in this video? Like, this isn't the story. What's crazy about Chainsaw Man is what comes next. Because despite all the epic action and the crazy powers, this is nothing compared to Chainsaw Man's biggest selling point. Because this is where the story gets very juicy. After mentioning power about 269 times already, I know you didn't come here for me to not talk about Chainsaw Man's characters. They rock. Every single one. Every cast member of Chainsaw Man is my best friend. Denji's my best friend, Aki's my best friend, Power's my best friend, Makima is my actual mom. Pochita is not Denji's heart, Pochita is my heart. To put it into words, the characters into Chainsaw Man are fully realized. Each is lovable, but they're also flawed, corrupt, and corruptible. Fujimoto clearly went to the Shrek school of character design because, much like an ogre or an onion, these characters have layers. Let's start with Denji. He's your typical teenage boy, a homeless debt slave to mobsters. Okay, so this show has some definite commentary on capitalism, by the way. Wealth inequality, etc. Maybe he's not your typical teenage boy, but in a lot of ways he's a more realistic teenage boy than a lot of other shonen protagonists, if you know what I mean. Luffy wants to be the pirate king, Naruto wants to be Hokage, Midoriya wants to be a great superhero, blah blah blah. Denji wants to get a girlfriend, and more importantly to him, he wants to touch boobs. Relatable. Who doesn't want to touch boobs? So which one really sounds more like the teenage boys in your life? Denji is a kid who's never had a normal life. He's never had steady meals, gone to school, had friends, held a real job, or really anything. As a result, his personality is brash, rude, and immature. But, and this is important, he's not without a level of empathy and a willingness to play the hero and save lives. As much as Chainsaw Man is about being a hero, it's also about trying to find a purpose and a role to play in one's life. It's about holding down a job. There's a good reason that his transformation into Chainsaw Man maintains a button-down shirt and a tie. In case you didn't notice, he's not wearing a superhero's cape. This form, even with a chainsaw exploding from his face, is his workplace attire. Denji wants a normal life, and violently slaying devils is the only way to achieve that goal for him. Makima, another fan-favorite character, because let's face it, they're all fan-favorite characters, is the one who coerces Denji into becoming a public safety devil hunter. It's really either work for her and be treated as a human or hunted as a devil. Denji, for one, is more than happy to become a contributing member of society and get 3 square meals a day. And it doesn't hurt either that she tempts him with the promise of a potential relationship, and he jumps at the chance to achieve his dream of dreams. As a leader of the devil hunters, Makima is as powerful as she's mysterious and has always had a way of getting what she wants. And then there's Aki, the edgy character of our main trio, because every series needs a Sasuke. However, Megumi Fushiguro of Jujutsu Kaisen is a more apt comparison here, given that Aki too summons beasts to do some of the fighting for him. Aki has made contracts with devils who will lend their powers in exchange for a price. For instance, he can summon the Fox Devil for the low price of letting the devil consume a part of his body. Truly a steal. Aki as a character, in contrast, is fully motivated by revenge. He has a personal stake in the fight against the Gun Devil here. You see, his entire family was killed by this monster the last time it appeared. As a result, he takes his job as a devil hunter deadly serious and can't stand other characters like Denji, who don't. Many characters, human and devil alike, are morally gray. Aki and other devil hunters, as well as governments and other organizations, regularly make contracts with devils. And devils are not a united front of evil. Just like humans, they're mostly looking out for their own self-interest. And if that means working alongside humans, then so be it. Of course, there are also plenty of human characters who demonstrate that in many ways, humans can just be as vile as devils. Big surprise. Oh yeah, and before I forget, there's one central character I still haven't talked about much. Power! Power is a blood fiend, a fiend being a devil that's possessed a human corpse. Power is childish, greedy, a compulsive liar, rude, unkempt, and unsanitary. She's also taken 1st and 3rd place in the 2 Chainsaw Man popularity polls, and for a very good reason. As the Blood Devil, she can manipulate her own and others' blood, shaping it into various weaponry, often a scythe. Now, Power is the only character who can match Denji's extreme immaturity, much to the dismay of the orderly Aki. But then, other than comic relief, what's her actual appeal though? Well, be sure to watch the anime for all the spoilery content that depends on her character. But for now, suffice to say that she loves her cat very much, and loving a cat is easily enough redemption for any other negative personality trait. And so to bring it all back, Chainsaw Man has the typical typical shonen structure, but it's subversive on every single level. It has extreme violence and gore, but still maintains a real emotional resonance. It's absurd and comical, but explores deep philosophical topics with expert precision. Oh, and all the characters are really hot, which makes Chainsaw Man the show you have to watch this season. Thank you very much for watching.